It's a weird thought, but have you ever stopped to think why two doctors looking at the exact same x-ray could give you two totally different diagnoses? Or how about this? Why two judges with the same case file in front of them can hand out sentences that are years apart? It's easy to just blame this on bias, right? But what if there's something else going on, a hidden flaw, something a lot more chaotic?
Welcome back to Ben's Book Club. Today, we are diving into the book Noise by the brilliant team of Daniel Kahneman, Olivier Sibony, and Cass Sunstein. And they argue that this hidden culprit I was just talking about, this invisible flaw in our judgment, it's just as damaging as bias. Maybe even more so.
All right, so here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to quickly touch on our old friend bias, just so we're clear on what we're not talking about. Then we'll get into the main event, the hidden flaw, noise, and you'll see just how much it costs us in the real world. We'll break it down into its three different types, talk about something called decision hygiene, which is a really cool concept for cleaning up our thinking, and then we'll wrap up with a pretty big question about the human element in all of this. Okay, so before we can really get our heads around noise, we've got to talk about what it isn't. And that means we have to start with its much more famous cousin, bias. So what is bias, really? Well, at its core, it's a predictable, systematic error. The best way to think about it is like a bathroom scale that's always off by exactly 2 pounds. Every single time you step on it, it tells you you're 2 pounds heavier. The error is consistent, it's predictable, and in our everyday judgments, this is when we're constantly pushed in the same wrong direction by some factor that shouldn't matter. Like, say, always favoring job candidates who went to the same university as you.
But what if that bathroom scale didn't just read 2 pounds heavy every time? What if 1 minute it says you're 5 pounds heavier, the next you're 3 pounds lighter, and then it's 10 pounds over? Basically, what if it gave you a completely different random number every time you stepped on it? That is where we meet bias's chaotic, often overlooked twin, noise. The absolute best way to picture the difference is with an archery target. So imagine a bunch of archers are all aiming for the bullseye. If all their arrows consistently land in the same spot, say low and to the right, that's bias. The error is predictable. But what if their arrows are just everywhere? I mean, scattered all over the target. Some are high, some are low, a few are way off to the left, a couple to the right. That's noise. It's just random, unpredictable inconsistency. And the key thing to get is that the total error in any judgment we make is actually a mix of both bias and noise. And this really gets to the heart of the book's message, summed up perfectly in this quote. They say, "Wherever there is judgment, there is noise, and more of it than you think." And that's the thing. This random scatter, this noise, it's not some tiny minor issue. It's a huge, widespread flaw in just about every judgment we make, from medicine to finance to law. And the scariest part? Most of the time, we don't even see it. Okay, fine. So things are inconsistent. You might be thinking, so what? Why does this invisible flaw actually matter? Well, because when you look at the real world, the cost is, and I mean this, absolutely staggering. Let's just take the insurance industry for a second. A study found that when you give two different underwriters the exact same risk to price, their final quotes differ by an average of, wait for it, 55%. And what's wild is that before this study, the executives at these companies guessed the difference would be maybe 10%. That level of randomness, that much noise, is costing companies millions, if not billions of dollars. And if the financial cost is big, the human cost it's just heartbreaking. Look at the U.S. asylum system. Depending on which judge you get, your chance of being granted asylum, your chance at a safe life, can be less than 5% or more than 80%. The single biggest factor isn't the facts of your case, it's the lottery of which judge you stand in front of. Same laws, similar cases, but completely different life or death outcomes. That right there is the brutal cost of noise. And it's not just in these specific fields, it is literally everywhere. You see it in medicine, where radiologists looking at the same mammogram a second time often disagree with their own first judgment. You see it in the justice system, where sentences for identical crimes can vary by years. And you definitely see it in hiring, where your chance of getting a job can come down to whether your interviewer just had a good lunch or not. It's like we've created a system that's a total lottery, but we're all pretending it's based on precise judgment. So if we're going to have any hope of tackling this problem, we need to understand where it's coming from. And the authors do a great job of breaking noise down into 3 different and equally frustrating types.
Okay, first up, we have what's called level noise. This one's pretty simple. It's just the basic difference in judgment between people. One judge is just generally tougher on sentencing than another. That's level noise. Then you have pattern noise. This is more about an individual's unique quirks. For example, one hiring manager might really value confidence in a candidate, while another sees that exact same behavior as arrogance. It's about how your personal patterns call you to react differently to the same information. And finally, there's occasion noise, which might be the most maddening of all. This is the noise within yourself. The fact that you make different decisions depending on your mood, the time of day, whether you're hungry, all of it adds this random static to your judgment.
So, this all sounds pretty bad, right? It's in our systems, it's even in our own heads. So, what in the world are we supposed to do about it? Well, the book doesn't just leave us hanging. It proposes a really smart set of solutions that it calls decision hygiene. And decision hygiene is a brilliant name for it. It's not about trying to spot a specific bias and correct for it. Instead, it's all about prevention. It's a set of procedures you put in place before you make a judgment to reduce all that random error. I love the analogy they use. It's like washing your hands. You don't wash your hands to kill a specific germ you can see. You do it to prevent all kinds of infections you don't even know are there. That's what decision hygiene does for our thinking.
So how do we actually do it? What does this hygiene look like in practice? Well, for starters, use algorithms and simple models whenever you can. They are completely noise-free and often do a better job than human experts. Another big one, aggregate judgments. Basically get opinions from multiple people independently and then average them out. The wisdom of the crowd really helps cancel out individual noise. Third, you want to structure your decisions. Instead of making one big call based on a gut feeling, break the decision down into smaller, separate parts. And finally, and this is a huge one for teamwork, delay consensus. Make sure everyone in a group forms their own opinion before the discussion starts. It's a great way to avoid groupthink and social pressure. Now, all of this sounds amazing, right? More fairness, better accuracy, better outcomes all around. But trying to implement these noise-reducing strategies forces us to face a really deep, almost philosophical question about the human element. And that question is this. If we get rid of all the noise, if we rely on rules and algorithms to make everything perfectly consistent, do we also get rid of our humanity? Do we lose our intuition? People want to feel like they are being heard, that their unique situation is being considered, not that they're just another number being fed into a model. So, is a little bit of noise actually the price we have to pay for dignity, for nuance, for being human? The book doesn't give us an easy answer here, which I think is the point. It leaves us to think about where that balance really is. Ultimately, the whole concept of noise really forces you to stop and rethink what a good decision even is. I hope this explainer gave you a totally new lens to look at the world and your own judgments through. It's powerful stuff. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe so you don't miss an episode.